For thousands of years, we looked up at it with naked eyes and called it perfect. A golden light, steady and unhurried in the dark sky above every civilization that ever existed. The Babylonians worshipped it. The Romans named it after their god of time. Galileo pointed his crude telescope at it in 1610 and was so confused by what he saw that he described it as a planet with ears. Beautiful, distant, peaceful. That was always the lie. Saturn is the second largest planet in our solar system, sitting roughly 886 million miles from the Sun. On a clear night, you can still see it with your naked eye. A calm golden point of light that never seems to move, scientifically. For most of human history, that was all we knew, a quiet jewel hanging in the dark. Then we sent machines there, and the jewel cracked open. Saturn is a world made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, a colossal sphere of gas with no solid ground to stand on. It spins so fast, completing a full rotation in just 10.5 hours. That's its equator bulges outward and its poles flatten, turning the planet into something that looks less like a sphere and more like a pumpkin crushed under its own weight. It is so enormous that 764 Earths could fit inside it. And yet, somehow, if you could find an ocean large enough, Saturn would float. Its average density is lower than water. That is the surface of the lie. Beautiful, almost elegant. The rings are where the truth begins. From Earth, they look like a solid halo of golden light. Serene, perfectly ordered. The most iconic image in our entire solar system. We put them on textbook covers, on mission patches, on the walls of children's bedrooms. We made them a symbol of wonder, but if you were to fly inside those rings, you would not find serenity. You would find a graveyard. The rings of Saturn are not a natural feature of the planet. They are not ancient. According to our best scientific estimates, they are relatively young in cosmic terms, perhaps only 100 to 400 million years old. Dinosaurs still walked the Earth when those rings may have formed, and they formed through an act of violence so complete that nothing survived it. The leading theory, supported by data from NASA's Cassini mission, is that a moon wandered too close to Saturn. It crossed the Roche limit, the invisible bow, the Membro boundary, where a planet's gravitational pull becomes stronger than the internal forces holding a moon together. Saturn reached out, and it tore the moon apart. Not quickly, not cleanly. It shredded it, piece by piece, over time, until all that remained were trillions of fragments of ice and rock, dragged into orbit, spread across a disk nearly 175,000 miles wide. What you see when you look at Saturn's rings is the remains of a world that no longer exists. Some of those fragments are smaller than a grain of sand. Others are as large as houses. They orbit at speeds of thousands of miles per hour, constantly colliding, shattering, reforming. In some places, the rings are only 30 feet thick, thinner relative to their width than a sheet of paper. If you scaled the rings down to the size of a football field, the thickness would be invisible to the naked eye, and they are disappearing. Cassini confirmed what scientists had feared. Saturn's gravity is slowly pulling the rings downward. Ring material rains into the planet's atmosphere at a rate of several tons per second in roughly 100 million years. A blink in cosmic time, the rings will be gone. Saturn will be just another featureless gas giant in the dark, We are alive at the only moment in the history of the solar system when Saturn looks the way it does. That window is closing. If the rings are the beautiful lie, the storms are what lives beneath it. At Saturn's North Pole, there is a storm unlike anything else in the solar system. A hexagonal hurricane. A six-sided structure so geometrically precise that when Voyager first photographed it in 1981, scientists refused to believe it was natural. Nature does not make straight lines. Nature does not make perfect hexagons. And yet, there it spins, a six-sided vortex wide enough to contain 4 Earths side by side, with walls reaching hundreds of miles deep into the planet's atmosphere. And at its center, a swirling eye of wind and cloud the color of dark blood. It has been there for as long as we have been watching, decades, perhaps centuries. No one fully understands how it forms. After 40 years of study, the hexagon remains one of the most perfectly strange things we have ever observed in the solar system. A geometric scar that never heals. If Saturn already surprises you, subscribe and leave a like. The next video will be even more curious. And then there are the moons. Saturn has more officially recognized moons than any other planet in our solar system. Over 140. But 2 of them changed everything we thought we knew about where life could exist. Titan is the largest of Saturn's moons and the only moon in the solar system with a thick atmosphere. When the Huygens probe descended through its orange haze in 2005 and reached the surface, it found something that looked, against all reason, like Earth. Rivers, lakes, coastlines, dunes stretching for hundreds of miles. But nothing about Titan is what it appears. The rivers and lakes are not water. They are liquid methane and ethane, liquid natural gas, pooling in low-lying areas, evaporating in Titan's cold, flowing back down as rain. The temperature on the surface is minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. The dunes are not sand. They are grains of complex organic hydrocarbons, built by winds that blow so slowly a human could walk faster than they move. Titan is a mirror image of Earth, built from entirely different materials. A world that learned the same shapes through completely different chemistry. And then there is Enceladus. Enceladus is small, only 313 miles across. Cold, covered in ice so white it reflects nearly all the sunlight that hits it. For a long time, we looked at it and saw nothing. A frozen rock, unremarkable. Then Cassini flew past its south pole and saw something that stopped every scientist who reviewed the data. Geysers, enormous jets of water vapor and ice particles, erupting from fractures near the South Pole, called tiger stripes, shooting hundreds of miles into space. Saturn's gravity is kneading Enceladus like a ball of dough, generating heat deep within its interior, and beneath its frozen shell, Cassini confirmed the existence of a global ocean of liquid water. Warm, salty, rich in organic molecules, venting directly into space. Enceladus is actively spraying the ingredients for life into the vacuum of Saturn's orbit right now. We have never found anything like it. If life exists elsewhere in our solar system, Enceladus may be the most likely place. Not on the surface. Deep beneath the ice in the dark pressurized water where sunlight has never penetrated. Somewhere in that ocean, something may be swimming. We do not know. We cannot say. And that uncertainty is the most honest and terrifying thing science has ever admitted. We went to Saturn looking for a jewel. We found a machine, a system of staggering violence and unlikely beauty. where a murdered moon became jewelry, where storms carve hexagons into a gas giant's skin, where a tiny frozen moon leaks an ocean into space, and dares us to ask the question we are not sure we are ready to answer. If this kind of question keeps you awake at night, you are exactly where you belong. Subscribe, and we will keep going deeper together. The rings are dying. The moons are hiding oceans. The storms have been spinning longer than our species has existed. Saturn does not need us to understand it. It will still be there, beautiful and violent and indifferent, long after the last human hand that ever pointed at it has turned to dust. Keep looking up